What is up, Ramley? You know, when I was getting ready to make this week 3 preview video, I was sitting here saying, I could grab any Eagles fan. I could look on Twitter and find so many ridiculous takes that Philly might have, but I thought, you know what Rams fans deserve and need? They deserve experts. You deserve the best of the best. So I didn't just go grab anybody. Me and Sheriff Joe Baggs, we can talk Rams all day long, but we don't know Philly like real Philadelphia folk do. So I went out, I reached out to Mr. Miles Johnson, Real Talk with MJ, as you guys know him online. He is, by all accounts, in my book, the number one podcaster, personality, content creator to all things Philadelphia Eagles and just Philly sports in general. So we brought him on. He gave us about 45 minutes of his time, top-down approach, talking Rams, Eagles, matchups, concerns, tush push, and a little bit of that brotherly love. We even said some nice things about each other's team. So hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Go give him a shout out. He is phenomenal at his job, way better than us. And as always, go Rams. Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored today with the enemy at our gates. We got a big game this week, week 3, LA versus Philly. We've been talking about it all week. Rams fans have had this game marked on their calendars as a kind of a form of get back because we feel like we were robbed. We were one throw away from getting a little bit closer to an NFC Championship game. But I can't talk about Philly without this man on the screen with me, Mr. Miles Johnson. You know him by @RealTalk with MJ. I would say he's the biggest Philly sports talking head on the internet. Emmy award winning from what I saw on your tag. So you have to tell me a little bit about that. But we'll talk some football. But welcome. Good morning, MJ. How you doing?
Hey, Pierce. No, thanks for the invitation to come on. Love to talk some ball, Eagles, Rams. I mean, like you said, I thought it was over that final drive. Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, that shoulder catch, and then Jalen Hurts saved the day. So I know y'all certainly want to get that revenge. Jared Verse build off what he did in the divisional round, but I'm pumped to talk some ball.
Nah, I appreciate you, man. I want to start this off showing that it's all love. I know Philly is the city of brotherly love. We're gonna share. We're both gonna say one thing that we like about the other person's team. For me, I love Jalen Hurts. I feel like he gets a lot of hate. As someone who has been a fan of Matthew Stafford, the way he's had to play and operate in Detroit all those years before LA, now seeing him shine, you just got to go out and win games, man. The stats don't matter at all. I'm a big fan of Jalen Hurts, so that's my one good thing, man.
Yeah, I would say Puka Nacua is somebody who I viewed in the offseason as a top 5 receiver, top 5, top 6. I feel like at this point he has solidified himself as a top 5 wide receiver. And the only question about him is, all right, you want to get every single yard, but sometimes it comes with a cost because you get some injuries here and there. But a healthy Puka Nacua is undoubtedly a top 5 wide receiver in the game.
I mean, that's funny you said that. I was just on Twitter. I think someone brought up so Rams Bros, Joe DiCamara, Philly Morning Show lead host. He said that Puka Nacua is not as good as people make him out to be. He's not top 5 in this league. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Joe and his work. I'm not. But yeah, it's weird, man. Wide receivers in our system, they don't get enough love, I feel like.
I just feel like if people really watch the film, like I could see, and he put up such great numbers. Talking about Cooper Kupp, like he put up such great numbers, you couldn't deny him. But I could see how if somebody wants to say Cooper Kupp doesn't have the physical traits that you might like, oh, Sean McVay is giving him open. But the stuff that Puka does, the body control, the contested catch ability, his versatility I mean, he can run for a 40-yard touchdown. He can, go up through the seam, outside. I mean, line him anywhere, slide outside, does not matter. Like, he's going to get his. And it obviously works when you have arguably the best offensive play caller in the game today in Sean McVay. But Puka himself just is a ridiculous wide receiver.
No, I appreciate that. I And to share that love back, I try to do this thing called the Dax's chart, and I'm debuting it next week. It is a play off of the old guys off the Heed the Call podcast, what they used to call it before around the NFL. They used to call it the Dalton line. Dalton line was like the absolute median for NFL quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Dalton was like middle of the road. If you're better than Andy Dalton, franchise guy. If you're worse, probably need a new quarterback. This iteration, I call it the Dax's chart because I think Dak Prescott is absolute middle of the road when it comes to NFL quarterback play. And you're familiar with Dak. I'm not sure if you got feelings on that. But when I'm putting this list together, one of the main traits I put is winning. And I'm having a hard time not putting Jalen Hurts in my top 5. My list is very different than other people's. Obviously, I've got Stafford at 4 because I'm very biased. And I've got Hurts at 5. So to reciprocate that, everyone is a system quarterback. My number one, we'll talk about it right now. My number one matchup that worries me in this game is Jalen Hurts and his ability to play outside the pocket, make plays. Even if he's not going to throw it, he's a constant threat of will he or won't he pass it. What is it about Jalen Hurts' game in this current iteration of the offense that people are saying is, and this happens every year, oh, the offense is struggling. Sirianni doesn't know what he's doing, but then you guys keep winning games. So, talk to me a little bit about that.
So with Jalen Hurts, the discourse about him, there's 2 extremes, I think. And you have the one extreme of like the people that are going to hate Hurts no matter what. And if he has 100 yards in the game, that proves their narrative that he's not top 5, he's not top 10. Anybody could be in his shoes and win a Super Bowl, win Super Bowl MVP, etc. Then you have the other extreme that says, if AJ Brown has 1 target, I don't care, we won. And those are a lot of the Eagles fans I have to deal with, because you're not paying somebody over $30 million to give them 1 target in a game. If that's the case, trade AJ Brown. But now y'all want to do that. So clearly you see value in AJ Brown. I'm in the middle where I understand the way Hurts plays because he's not going to risk it if he doesn't have to. Like, if he knows, all right, my defense is firing on all cylinders, we're able to move the ball, running the ball, why would I force a 50-50 ball for AJ Brown that could get intercepted? Now, one could say, well, you have AJ freaking Brown, and more times than not, he's going to catch that ball. But the Eagles win at such a high rate when they win the turnover battle. And after the Eagles went 2-2 last season and they had a bye week, they faced the Browns. After that bye week, Hurts has turned over the ball 4 times, like in total, including interceptions and fumbles. So both of those together, only 4 times. And they've essentially won every single game he has started and finished in that time span. So while I understand why they're doing it, it makes sense because they've won basically for the past year. They haven't got beat since September 29th, 2024 against the Buccaneers when they didn't have A.J. Brown, didn't have Devontae Smith, didn't have Lane Johnson. So it makes sense why they're doing it. The question is, for the Eagles and the players on the team is, okay, how much does winning matter to you? Because it matters a whole bunch to Jalen Hurts. And quarterbacks, they're really judged. Honestly, if a quarterback has 3-4 Super Bowls, he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like, that's just what's going to be. A wide receiver, if he has 3 or 4 Super Bowls, that does not automatically make him first ballot. It honestly doesn't even make him Hall of Fame. Like, you got to have the stats with it. So the guys like AJ and Smitty, it's not them being selfish. It's the nature of their position. They have to put up stats. And Saquon, he'll get his regardless. We're a running football team. So those are like the narratives. Those are the things that like Eagles fans, just people in the NFL are paying attention to. And the last thing I'll say that it's been like a talking point has been the Tush Push. And I'm going to talk about this when I record later today. But I love the Tush Push, but I don't like the Tush Push being used to mask bad play calling. Like, I want to be able to use the tush push as a luxury, not as a necessity. Like we should be having a fluid offense. And if the ball happens to be at the 1 yard line, first and go, a second and go, boom. If we happen to have a 3rd and 1, a 4th and 1 in the enemy's territory, all right, cool, tush push. But when we feel like, at least for me, when I feel like the offense is being centered around the tush push, and the only way that we get offense through a tush push, as a fan, I'm like, hey, bro, like, can we actually get a fluid offense? Because all the tush push is doing is masking terrible play calling from the offensive coordinator, Kevin Patullo, who has all the weapons in the world to make something shake.
Do you feel like, and that's interesting you said that, it's masking bad play calling. Rams narratives, Rams fans are almost very similar to Philly fans in regards to almost spoiled. It's like you're winning, but you're not winning how I want you to. Like my Madden stats don't look how we want. For us right now, it's Kyren Williams. He hasn't had majorly explosive games the first 2 weeks. He's a Pro Bowl caliber running back, super consistent, keeps us ahead of the change. I had to put out film to show, hey, that 4-yard loss turned into a 1-yard gain, and that's honestly a fucking miracle. There's not a lot of running backs that will do that. Just because he didn't have rip off a 50-yard runner like you want to. There's something to be said about a guy who can constantly fall forward and get positive yardage. 2nd and 9 is infinitely better than 2nd and 13. I will tell people every single day of the week. Damn, I didn't even think about it that way in regard. Like, when's the last time you guys have had 3rd and 1 and 3rd and short and just ran like a halfback dive? It's just always resorting to tush push.
Yeah, and it's funny because I found myself slightly being a hypocrite because there have been times that the Eagles have been in 3rd and 1 and they will just run the ball and they might get, a loss of 1, a loss of 2. And then we're like, run the tush push. You got to stop the play. But at the same time, I understand that it's more so when Dylan Gabriel has more passing touchdowns than Jalen Hurts, or through 2 games, A.J. Brown hasn't eclipsed 40 receiving yards. That's when we have to look at the offense and be like, all right, like what is going on? Like what actually is going on? And yes, we're winning, but I think even the players in the building, they know their ceiling. They know how great they are. They know that we have to, up this level of play if we want to get back to a Super Bowl. And last season they did that. So if you're an Eagles fan, if you're in my shoes and you're watching this team, you're saying, all right, there are some things that I don't necessarily like right now, but it's September. And last season, there were the same conversations with Kellen Moore's offense about, hey, what's wrong with the passing game? Is that the weakest link? And then in the biggest moments, in the biggest games, they showed up. Even in that Rams game against y'all in the divisional round, at the end of the first half, Jalen Hurts threw a dot to A.J. Brown that would have been a touchdown. A.J. dropped it. Now, granted, it wasn't the best conditions, but you are paid a big bucks to make that catch. And if he makes that catch, instead of 100-something passing yards, Hurts has 200 plus, and now the narratives are a little bit different. So a lot of it just comes from just watching the games, which obviously you and I do, but the box score doesn't tell the full story, of course.
Yeah, a lot of box score watchers. It's funny, you get people on Twitter end up being the loudest and they get the most attention on there, but it's like, all right, man, you watched the game one time at a Buffalo Wild Wings and you were like about four beers deep. Like, I don't know if you've got the most sober take on this matter. One of my big things heading into this game that does worry me is your guys' defensive front. I know I'm completely abandoning the offense here, and we'll get back to it with the tush push. But how is the defense you feel performing as a Philly fan? Because Stafford, we were just talking about it this morning on our morning show. Least time to throw amongst like other quarterbacks through 2 weeks, yet he's got one of the deeper average per target reception rate. So the offensive line play has been pretty poor in terms of pass protection on the interior. Now we got to worry about your guy, Jalen Carter. Hopefully, is he wearing the Hannibal mask? Is he gonna be good there?
He should be. It's funny because I went to week 1 against the Cowboys. I'm walking to my seat. Got a little bit late. While I'm walking to my seat, I get a tweet from Eagles beat writers. Yeah, Jalen Carter's ejected. I'm like, what the heck? Like, how does even like game didn't
I've
even start?
never seen that. I've
He
never
didn't
seen
even
that before.
start. So I mean, he should be a man on a mission. I know him and Jared Verse had some like uh they were kind of just trolling each other back and forth about it's but before the playoff game. I think they were trying to bet some money on the game or something like that, or bet a game check.
Mhm.
So I know he'll definitely be motivated. Uh Game 1 was hard against the Cowboys to judge the Eagles defense because when you lose your best player just like that, and the whole entire defense is built around Jalen Carter, I
Yeah.
mean, then you have Ajomo, who is the second or third best defensive tackle. Now he's number 2 or number 1. Jordan Davis, same thing. He's 2 or 3 usually. Now he's got to be 1 or 2. So you got 2 guys in Ajomo and Davis that these guys, Jordan Davis, that they're now in roles that they normally aren't in, especially with the high snap count. Now, Jordan Davis, he lost 25 pounds, and I feel like he's been one of the most consistent players on this Eagles defense. And he definitely is in a contract year and wants to get paid, and he's keeps this up. I mean, he is going to get paid either by the Eagles or somebody else. So you can really judge this Eagles team, or you can only judge this Eagles team by Jalen Carter being on the team. He's the guy that attracts the double teams, that allows for Nolan Smith, Ajomo, Davis to continue to get one-on-ones and get to the quarterback. You saw multiple pass deflections from Jordan Davis against the Chiefs. You saw Ajomo get a sack. I mean, Zadarius Smith came in. This guy is fresh as I don't know how you can be. He's super fresh right now. No training camp. He's been not just on his couch, but like he's been training by himself. Doesn't
You've
have
been
the wear and
chilling.
tear.
You've
Been
been
chilling
chilling.
for real. And he
Yeah.
came in and was more effective than what Bryce Huff was for us the whole entire season. In one game, he was more effective than what Bryce Huff is. Now we see him with the 49ers and Robert Saleh. So I think that the strongest unit of the defense is the defensive line. It's the most deep. And then you get to the
Mhm.
second level, the linebacker room, which I feel is excellent. Zach Bond, defensive player of the year candidate. Jahad Campbell, absolute steal in the draft. It's funny to me that you have these guys, Jahad Campbell, Will Johnson, that there were injury concerns heading into the draft, and that's why they slid. And it's like, all right, these guys are literally, top 2 in defensive rookie of the year race right now. I'm like,
Yeah.
unless they broke their leg or they're off an Achilles injury and they can't play the whole entire season, what you mean they're dropping in the draft? You don't see their talent? I'm confused on what these guys get paid to do. So thank you for giving us Jahad Campbell. And then
That
you have
pissed me off.
Nakobe Dean.
I'm not
It
gonna
makes
lie.
no
That
sense.
pissed me off you guys got Campbell. Does it like how do people just keep letting y'all just get who you guys want or making trades with you? Like at some
I
point,
don't
you guys
get it.
gotta be blacklisted at
I
this
don't get
point.
it because he was slotted to be either between like 15 to 23, and we got him at
At
30
worst. Yeah, at
at
worst.
worst, like at like 23 at worst. So, and granted, like I wanted Malachi Starks, who is going crazy in Baltimore, but I mean, Jahai Campbell, he was a pleasant surprise, and he's showing up big time. So I'm definitely good with the defensive line and linebacker room, and the
Mhm.
secondary. I think Cooper DeJean is all world. I think Quinyon Mitchell can definitely hold his own. And the issue with the issue with the secondary that Sean McVay is going to exploit is our cornerback too, and that's Dory Jackson. Now, if you just have one wide receiver one, then you could just say, all right, Quinyon, follow him.
Mhm.
But y'all got 2. Y'all have arguably 2 top 10 wide receivers in the game right now. And so there's no hiding for Dory Jackson. It's just he's got to either have an excellent game and shock the world, whether he's going to be faced up against Puka Nacua or Devontae Adams, which I feel like he's going to be burnt toast, and that's just what's going to happen. Or you can look at it and be like, the defensive line has to have such a dominant game that Matthew Stafford doesn't have the time to throw to those elite weapons. But I have a lot of respect for Sean McVay and the fact that he knows this Eagles defensive line is nice, it's legit, and he's gonna get the ball out of Matthew Stafford's hands quickly. And Matthew Stafford can process the game so quick that he's been in situations like this before where he hasn't had a favorable offensive line and he had to make something work. So I expect y'all to target Adoree Jackson. Adoree Jackson is going to be your best friend that day. He's going to get all Eagles fans mad, but uh, that's our weak link in the secondary in the defense.
I will say, so there's definitely a stark difference that I'm noticing in commentary, how California fans versus Pennsylvania fans will talk about their team. It's like, it's not, it's disrespectful if you don't call out these guys. Like you just said, Adoree Jackson, burnt toast. Over here, California, man, people, they want to be politically correct a lot more times than not. That's the least I'll say about it. For us, thank you for saying that about Stafford. This is about day 365 of me asking Stafford to adopt me as a brother or something like that. That'd be really cool. Be a great addition to the family. How do you feel about, as a Philly fan, with our defensive line? Because I can sit here and talk all day. Obviously, I'm going to be biased. Hey, Jared versus, you watch out. He's a dark horse for Defensive Player of the Year. Byron Young's finally having a really good year, putting all his athleticism on the field all together with his skills, as he should have been doing for his first 2 seasons. Now he's finally doing it. We love Kobe Turner. We feel he's underrated. He's not up there with the likes of like a Chris Jones you guys just faced. The way I looked at it, the key for the Rams to have a chance winning this game, and I don't say that as you guys are some juggernaut. Like, we're both contenders in the NFC. But for the Rams to really take advantage of this matchup, it's going to come down not to the edges, but to the interior of our defensive line. We added Poona Ford to help stop we added Poona Ford probably for Saquon Barkley. Like, that is one of the reasons that we added Poona Ford and Nate Landman. But Kobe Turner, Braden Fisk, Poona Ford, whoever it is, it's that interior. And now you know Jalen Hurts a lot better than I do, but in my mind, edges, play contain. You're probably not going to get a lot of play. Like, it's early in the season. You're probably not going to get to the Hurts like you expect to going up against those tackles. But where you can exploit is like a Landon Dickerson. Remind me your center's name one more time.
Cam Jurgens. Yep.
Cam Jurgens. Someone like a Kobe Turner, who is underrated in the pass rush. He can take advantage and get up the middle, because if you can get up the center, not let Jalen Hurts evade the pocket, you take away a lot of his passing lanes, because he's not 6'5", he's not 6'4". I'm not playing that short quarterback game. I'm a former short quarterback myself. Got a lot of respect for him. But no, it is an issue when you've got a 6'4" defensive tackle screaming up, the alley in the center of the pocket. But how do you guys perceive our defensive line? Because we think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, I mean, similarly to the Eagles in a sense, like, y'all need your defensive line to play well and dominate so that your secondary doesn't get exposed, because we're not worried about y'all secondary. If Emmanuel Forbes is up against A.J. Brown, everybody knows A.J. Brown, man-to-man coverage. Oh, he's going to have 152 touchdowns. That's easy work. We saw what happened with Emmanuel Forbes with the Commanders. But the defensive line, Jared Verse was honestly at times the best player on the field in the divisional round. And there was some talking, there was some chirping. He backed it up. He got my respect for sure. I heard that like Braden Fisk didn't practice on Wednesday, so he's questionable. But
yeah, he's I guess sprained oblique. He's going to be. I would imagine him being a game time decision.
Got you. So you have that, but yeah, you have a young like the defensive line, and y'all have done a great job of hitting on draft picks in this era where you're like retooling, not rebuilding, but retooling after that Super Bowl win. So y'all have done a great job there. I think we're definitely going to be hyper focused on Jared Verse. I believe that Lane Johnson or Jordan Mailata, they can, hold their own against him. Now, the interior offensive line, Cam Jurgens, he had his worst game of his career, in my opinion, in the divisional round against the Rams. Now, granted, it was not the most ideal conditions. Like, not only did Hurts get sacked 7 times for 63 yards, Matthew Stafford, he got sacked 5 times for 33 yards. So, like, both offensive lines in that game didn't perform as well when you're, you know, basically having to walk on ice and you got guys running full speed at you, running down the hill. I mean, it is harder, but I would suspect that our offensive line coach, Jeff Stoutland, who I believe is the best offensive line coach in the game, he's going to drill it to them and say, hey, most of y'all that got dominated against the Rams in the playoffs are here. The only one that ain't here is Mekhi Becton with the Chargers. All of y'all, Mailata, Lane, Cam Jurgens, Land Dickerson, all of y'all are here. Like Tyler Steen, he got promoted to the starting position after Mekhi Becton left. Like he's been on the team. He got drafted by the Eagles, so he knows what happened in that game and how they didn't play well. So I expect the Eagles to really play much, much better with their offensive line. And that's going to be the matchup of the day. Because if the offensive line plays well and Hurts has time in the pocket, yes, I believe that he will finally have over 200 yards, and you'll see that great passing game that we've been wanting to see this season. And if it's not that, and the offensive line is still doing well, then you can expect Saquon Barkley, who they said, I don't mean to, just boast in your face about it, but they were saying going into the playoffs, oh, there's no way that he could replicate what he did in the regular season. And did it again, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. So I know y'all are going to be super focused on Saquon to
I would
not go
hope so.
off and say, Hurts, if you beat us, hey, come on. And it's funny because, like, the Eagles, they can beat you in like 3 different ways. Whether it's if you want to have light boxes and, play zone coverage, have help, deep for AJ or Smitty, then you're leaving favorable matchups for Saquon Barkley. Now, if you stack the box and you leave one-on-one matchups for AJ and Smitty, now you're at their mercy. That's easy work there. Now, if you're able to do what the Cowboys did in week 1 and not only stop Saquon, but also limit AJ and Smitty, then if all of the wide receivers are guarded and they have their backs turned, you're all cornerbacks, you're all safeties, your linebackers, and you have a dual threat quarterback on 3rd and 15, he can run for 15 yards. So there's multiple ways the Eagles can beat you offensively. That's partly why Eagles fans get so frustrated when we only have 101 passing yards sometimes. And it's like, all right, we have way too much talent for this to be like this. But I have confidence that the offensive line will play better. Jalen Hurts will have a better day passing the ball. And y'all will do your best job of stopping Saquon. Although I do think if he doesn't have 200, he has like a cool 110 and maybe like a 40-yard touchdown in the 4th or something like that. Yeah,
you trying to break my heart right now, dog.
I like that. I like that.
So I got some. Now we're getting to the. We'll go back and forth here, and then we'll touch on the tush push. All right. First of all, you speaking on my man's Emmanuel Forbes like that. I know you saw him in Washington, but I did speak with him at training camp. Had a one-on-one with him. He is. I don't know what happened over there in Washington. I don't know if it was a scheme. I don't know if it's just like you ever work somewhere where like, man, I don't know if the manager likes me, so you just hate coming to work every day. But it just didn't work out there. He's played a lot better, I feel, in his first 2 games with us. He looked phenomenal in camp. He was one of the only people who could actually stay attached to Devontae Adams when it came to a lot of matchups that I saw with my own eyes. And we're seeing one-on-ones, best on best at camp some of those days. So I'm hoping it continues to translate because we need it. You mentioned on AJ Brown, there's familiarity there, divisional rivals, and also he's a lot smaller than him. He's a lot thinner. We're supposed to have Akella Witherspoon. He's out on IR with a broken clavicle. He was supposed to be the matchup on AJ Brown. He's the big body corner that's supposed to help in matchups like that. Now, Manuel Forbes is going to have a good game, so I defended his honor. I got to defend this run defense though. We didn't have a Puna Ford last year. And do I need to remind you who our linebackers were last year? This will get Rams fans going. Some of their favorite people of all time. Troy Reader is still on the team, but he is now strictly special teams. He was one of our starting inside linebackers. Christian Roseboom, who they didn't really make a fuss about when he left. That was a key area of improvement. Nate Landman, he's been all over the news the last 2 weeks for his just increased play. That forced fumble that he had against the Texans to win the game in week 1, which saved the day for us, honestly, because they were letting the Texans drive down into the red zone. That got a little bit hairy, to be honest. But what I'm hearing from you, and I definitely agree with you, it sounds like the winner of this game, it comes down to which one of these ideas breaks through first. Is it the Eagles getting some pass game going and holding up against the Rams defensive line and getting some air yards? Or is it the Rams breaking through and getting some rushing yards on this Eagles defense? Because whoever can do that first and take advantage, if the Rams can do that and take advantage of time of possession, which is something you guys are killing in right now, and if the Eagles, like I said, because we're going to do our best to stop Saquon, if Hurts comes out and, all right, cool, like he's a top 5 quarterback, this is what we expected, he's killing us on the ground too, whichever one of those has their way on the day, I think that's who the winner is. Is that something you agree with?
I think that
I know I'm oversimplifying it like crazy, but
no, I think what y'all had success with in the playoffs was like Kyren Williams. He was effective running the ball. Like he was effective. Now his issue was he couldn't hold on to the dang football. But when he held on to the football, when he held on to it, like he was extremely effective. That's how I believe on your first drive of the game, Kyren, he was marching on. It was either Taylor Higbee or Kyren like got that touchdown and start the game off. So I definitely believe that offensively, y'all become just more dangerous than you already are if Kyren got that, running game on lock right there. And then for the Eagles, they definitely want Saquon to have that monster game. I think they are making an emphasis to do that. And with opening the game for Saquon Barkley, you open up the play action, and then you allow for AJ Brown, Devontae Smith to get the looks that they've definitely been wanting to get as well. So now I agree, like it comes down to both offensive lines in this game. I think again for the Rams, it helps y'all a lot for Kyren Williams to have a great game, because then you can have long methodical drives where it might be 6, 7, 8 minutes, and you take the ball out of Hurts, Saquon, and the Eagles offense just out of their hands. So I think that's gonna be more emphasis for y'all to control time of possession, because the Eagles, that's what they do. That's what they do. And their whole game plan is to not turn over the ball and to not have risky plays that are turnover worthy plays, and control time of possession. Like if they do that, 9 times out of 10, they win these games. I think the reason why y'all lost in the playoffs was because one team turned it over, one team did not. I'm not really counting like the safety as I turn it over. So I think those like the big moments. And yeah, I agree. Like it's going to come down to each offensive line, how they do.
Yeah, and your offensive line is no damn joke. We'll finish off here. We're getting back to the tush push, saving the best for last. This morning, I told my co-host, I don't really care. There's so much else going on in the game outside of I mean, what are you guys running it at this time? 3-4 times a game? There's more to a football game than just those 3-4 plays. Do a better job on defense, keep them out of 3rd and short, 4th and short. Easier said than done. But here's my other thing too is if you score more points, they're probably not as likely to want to just grind the ball out and put themselves in situations where, all right, we got 4 plays to get 10 yards. Put them behind on the scoreboard. Put them behind on the sticks. If you go up 14-3, they're probably not sticking to the game plan. That's why I'm not concerned about the tush push. Like, what's the percentage rate of stopping Saquon Barkley halfback dive out of 13 personnel anyways? Like, we're probably talking about similar percentages anyways. I think it's overblown. I do think it's a little bullshit that some guys get to start early. At the same time, like if I stopped, and I'm gonna sound like an Eagles defender, which is crazy right now, but if I stopped every single offensive snap for every single player in hyper slow-mo, everyone's false starting, every tackle. This has been a conversation for years. It's just annoying because y'all are winning and y'all are succeeding with it. So I get it.
And I think just to add on to that real quick, like I understood, and I had this video that like it kind of went viral on TikTok because I think it was like, all right, you have an Eagles fan criticizing the tush push, like this has never happened, like that just doesn't seem real. But I understood the discourse and what was going to be talked about after that Eagles Chiefs game, just because the Eagles drives were so ugly. Like it was like 1st and 10, you get 4 yards. 2nd and 6, you get 3 yards. Well, it might be, my math is wrong. Or 2nd and 6, you might get 5 yards. 3rd and 1, tush push. Oh, you don't get it on that 3rd and 1? All right, fine. Do it again. 4th and inches. Tush push again. And it's like, I understand if I was, a Cowboys fan or a Giants fan, or hell, if I'm an Eagles fan and the Cowboys or Giants are doing that, I'm being like, y'all can't run a functional offense and y'all getting away with this, BS move. I would be upset with it. And so I commend the people that are still saying, and they're not Eagles fans, that are like, hey, like if you gotta just beat the play. Like you can't get mad at them for doing better than everybody else. I commend them because that would not be me. Again, as an Eagles fan, I like to play. But as I said before, I don't like when it masks terrible and ineptitude on the offensive side of the ball, terrible play calling. And we're going to see, I think, like, definitely that Chiefs-Eagles game, solidified, okay, this play is 100% getting banned. Like, it's not even a question. When you have Adam Schefter on Get Up the next day, who has every agent, every front office executive, all of their phone numbers saying, this game was lost in March. That was clear as day. Him as a reporter getting intel and then sharing what a unidentified source told him. So just like how I said, they're gonna use that Eagles Chiefs game to ban the tush push. Like we're seeing it, so they might as well. For people that don't like it, I mean, the Eagles are going to abuse it. They cannot wait to use it. If they could use it 20 times, they would. And part of me is like, all right, like I get it for sure. And just it's kind of like when your mom gives you a toy, gives you the PlayStation, and says you got an hour left before I take it away for the school week, and it's a Sunday night. And it's like, all right, I'm about to use the hell. I'm about to play 2K, till I can't no more. And so that's what the Eagles are doing now with the tush push. And it's funny that, they know it's being bad and they're like, hell with it. Let's just, run with it till the wheels fall off.
That's funny. That's hella funny you said that. That's not the that's not the anecdote I had in my head, but definitely something like it. Like, man, I'm use the fuck out of this before it gets made illegal. That's a wild statement for a reporter to make. This was lost in March. That's a wild thing to say.
That's crazy because, like, if you watch the game, Travis Kelsey, and he dropped a pass that was going to be a touchdown. Like
Yeah.
Andrew Makuba, who was also somebody that I even really mentioned for real. I mean, he's a rookie who has some stuff to learn, but I feel like he's extremely promising. Uh, you know, if he makes the interception or if he doesn't, that's essentially the game right there. That could be the game there. But yeah, that was premeditated. He knew, all right, let me make one of my unidentified sources happy by saying this.
And that's a constant reminder that we will say until we're blue in the face that anonymous sources should not exist, especially if you're going to be bashing teams and players. Say it with your chest and put your name on it if you really do believe that stuff. That's how I've always felt. Let me get your prediction, man. So we'll finish this off with this. I do want to ask you a personal question as well. But how do you feel this game's going to end up? Just give me a score. What are we thinking out
Yeah,
of Philly?
I would say I think this is the game that you see the Eagles offense really show you what they can be when they put their mind to it. So I like a game where it's 31-28, 31 Eagles, 28 Rams. I think the Rams offense is going to be hitting on all cylinders, and the Eagles defense is going to have trouble stopping them. I have a lot of faith in Hurts in big games. I think with any quarterback in the league, he can go toe to toe with anyone, and we've seen it in the Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes. So I like Matthew Stafford. He's not Patrick Mahomes, but he still is an elite quarterback that you have to respect. And I expect, a couple of playmakers on defense to make one or two turnovers that might, seal the game there. So you might have a last drive by Matthew Stafford, but it's a strip sack or it's a pick or whatever the case may be. So I definitely expect a big game from AJ, a big game from Saquon, and for Hurts in this passing game to get back on track.
I like that. I like the even though you said we're going to lose, I like the respect of saying we're going to put up some points because that is the anticipation for a lot of fans. About an hour ago, I gave my prediction of 16-13 Rams. My first thought was every time I feel a game's going to go a certain way, when you do have two very good teams playing against each other, a lot of uncertainties happen, a lot of unexpected things, unexpected players show up. So I was expecting a dogfight on defense, but I think you kind of talked me into some offensive fireworks. I'm not going to lie. I think you hyping up our offense, hearing it from a competitor, makes me feel better. I want to say something like 28-24 Rams. I think I feel a little bit better about the offense in that regard, taking advantage of that secondary. So we'll see, man. Maybe maybe I'll shoot you a message. Maybe we'll put a little friendly bet on it. But I do want to ask you one question, a personal question, because I followed your page for a while. I don't know too much about your personal life or anything, but I've come across some stuff where you've had some adversity breaking through in this field. As someone who has clearly done incredible work to create your own brand, champion yourself in a very difficult field to break into, especially a person of color, what is there something you want to say briefly on just your experience in doing this? Because as someone who is like in year 2 doing this and like it's challenging as fuck.
Yeah.
How was that for you? And at what point was it like a break where it's like, you know what? Like, yeah, I do this. Like, this is my shit. And I know how to do this well. Better than major media. Like, people can come to you in Philly, watch you, and get a lot more than watching like an ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
What was that point for you, and how was that journey, man?
Yeah, I think I started the podcast in 2020. This was I got sent back home early from school my freshman year of college because of COVID. And so I'm thinking, all right, what do I do with this time on my hands? I was not in the best mental state. You get sent back home, have great parents, but it's like, you 18, 19, like you were trying to be just turning up like with your college bros. Now you back home in Philly. I went to school in Atlanta. So I'm back in Philly thinking like, all right, what can I do with my time? I saw different sports podcasts like All the Smoke or even like $1 million worth of game with Wallow and Gilly in Philly. So thought to myself, all right, they're just being authentic. speaking their mind. Like I want to, follow their footsteps, or definitely like Stephen A's and uh the Chris Broussards, the Skip Baylesses, in terms of whether you agree or disagree with their takes, how they got to the point where they are now, and was through writing. So that was also something that, writing journalism has been a core just part of like my journey as well in career. But started the podcast July 2020. It was strictly audio for the first 6 months. And then I got some unemployment money, finessed that a little bit, and
There you go.
I got some uh camera equipment, and I started this edit on TikTok. And this was 2021, February 2021. And it was hard. Like, I'm trying to figure out how to edit. I'm looking up on YouTube different tips and tricks and how to make my process more efficient. And it was definitely hard, but I used that time in COVID when I'm back home, not doing as much, uh, to use as a time to hone in on my skills of editing content, making graphics, etc. And over the years, I started to get better at it. And so that like allowed me opportunities in the space to where they want me at an NBC to do social media for the Olympics, or they want me at Fox Sports now. I do social media for them. That wouldn't have been possible, I feel like, if I didn't learn how to edit myself. And I love my alma mater, Morehouse College, and I love the experiences I had there. But I mean, you had to like honestly teach yourself certain stuff. I feel like if you want to be the greatest person that you want to be, you have to teach yourself outside of schools. Them textbooks aren't going to change your life when they're designed to kind of like put people in like a system. If you want to branch out of that, you have to, do the work on your own. And to your question, like when did I realize? Uh, I guess I was like, doing something in media. I would probably say it was two things. Like on like a journalism tip, it was when I got invited to NBA All Star Weekend with Morehouse, and I'm with all these reporters like the Dave McMenamins of the world, the Brian Windhorses, all these top NBA reporters, and Chris Paul is there. And I raised my hand. Nobody was like looking at me, but Chris Paul noticed me, and he was like, "Oh, like what's your question?" So I asked him my question, and I I stumbled on the word because I have a stutter. And so I was thinking, all right, well, I just embarrassed myself. But Chris Paul looked at me like it was regular, like I didn't do anything. And that gave me the confidence to know if a future first ballot Hall of Famer isn't tripping about me stuttering on a word, like why am I tripping about, user 123456 on Twitter that got something to say for somebody on Instagram? Like that gave me all the validation I needed. And then with the podcast, it was when I started to really focus my content around Philly. And, like you said, all right, they can go to ESPN and get a take on the Eagles, but it's a little bit different when somebody is covering them every day. And it's a little bit different for folks to look at somebody on ESPN covering the Rams when you cover them closely every day. They might just talk about Puka and Stafford and McVay, and you could talk about how Kobe Turner is having 3 sacks right now through 2 games. He's going crazy. Like, so I was able to just, hone in on that niche of like Eagles, Sixers, even Phillies content here and there too. And I feel like when you start a podcast, start your own platform, and you know, really focus in on a sport or a team, that helps you be like the go-to guy or girl for that subject, for that topic. So that's what helped me. That's what instilled me confidence. And if you're looking to start a podcast or get into space, just be consistent and creative, and you'll be able to make things work. Be consistent and be creative.
And I'll add a third one to that: be yourself. I've had to learn that, and I always get envious of guys like you that are like, hey man, I wish I did started this at your age. I'm 34 now, and it's just like I'm that that standard white guy with a beard and glasses of like, oh, of course he started a podcast. But I wish I was younger when I started it. I can attest to that too, getting a little bit of validation from somebody in the field. For me, it was when I got to early on, I had a Xavier Smith on, and having him in his rookie year when I had like 40 subscribers, and I have an NFL rookie on, and it's just really cool. And it's nice to be able to have that back and forth and a validation from him and his agent of like, hey, like you're a journalist. And then finally, covering training camp and getting props from like a Gary Klein at LA Times of like, hey, I don't know who you are, but you seem to be working hard. It's very validating when people in your field see you, because like you said, man, you started this in COVID, and then even without COVID, this could be a very, very lonely industry when you don't have friends in the industry yet. So
100%.
I just wanted to ask that because we do have some very young followers. We have some little brothers in the Ramley family that have started podcasts, and I try to give them advice. So hopefully they see this and hear from another outside voice to just keep going. Like you said, be creative and definitely be yourself. So
Yes, sir.
will get you out of here. I know you got some work to do and some preparing to do. I don't know do you have a towel that you use to cry when the Eagles lose, or do you just use your jersey? Like, what's your go-to?
You see, like, you see, it's been so long, like, since we lost the game that Hurts, finished or started and finished, that, like, I forget, like, how I used to rage. But, it's been so long ago, like, I don't even, like, this is like a fog memory. Like, the Buccaneers game, like, dang, that's back when, a lot of things was different. The world was a lot different back then. Now it's just craziness out here. But yeah,
that was back when we still had First Amendment rights. Isn't that
right.
crazy?
That's what I'm saying. Now free speech, everything is taken. Like that was a long time ago, but that was distant in the past.
Well, as an advocate for men's mental health, I think it's healthy when you feel your feelings, even when they're bad. So we're going to help you with that this Sunday. Don't crash out. We got you. We're here for support when you lose. Ladies and gentlemen, Real Talk with MJ. Thank you, Miles. I appreciate your time, bro.
Thank you, my guy.